Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Thank you to everybody who's showing up for our community today. It was an amazing response from our community when we heard of 15 Zips restaurants being raided yesterday across Maricopa County. And what we know from those raids is that they were targeting the hard-working people of Maricopa County. That's what they were doing. They were targeting the people that were working hard or are working hard to provide for their families. So we are here to say, number one, ICE needs to be out of Arizona. ICE needs to be out of Minnesota. And ICE needs to be out of our country. This agency is doing one thing, hurting families, separating families, and we are not going to accept that. We're not going to tolerate that, and we are going to demand that ICE stops with their violence here and any other place in our country. We have a great lineup of speakers this morning or this afternoon, and we would like to start off with our trusted immigration attorney, Juliana Manzanares, who was a witness to the raid that happened at this Zips.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Juliana Manzanares, and I'm an immigration attorney here in Arizona. And I'm here today because of what I witnessed in our community yesterday. I was working in my office when I heard that there was federal immigration enforcement happening at a Zips location very close to where I work. And I went over because when something like this happens, we show up. When I arrived, there were several federal vehicles parked outside, very close to where we're standing now. The restaurant had already been cleared of patrons, and officers were inside of the building detaining the workers. At first, there was not a large crowd. But quickly, community members began to arrive, not to interfere, but to observe, to document, to support workers, and to hold officials accountable for how enforcement was carried out. I watched officers move in and out of the building to retrieve boxes, and I overheard them talk about arresting people over things like a bullhorn. Eventually, workers were being released out of the building, and I spoke with some of them. They were scared, they were shaken, and some were in tears. Everything had happened quickly, and many did not fully understand what was happening. Several workers shared something deeply troubling with me. Those who spoke English were treated more respectfully, while those who did not speak English or had an accent described being treated more roughly. I want to be very clear. Language should never determine how someone is treated, and yet this continues to happen in enforcement actions like this. As more people arrived, they made sure their phones were out. People checked on one another. They stayed present so no one would be isolated or unseen. When officers began to exit the building and return to their vehicles and trying to leave, they called additional law enforcement who arrived wearing gas masks, already prepared to deploy chemical agents. As officers were leaving with a clear path, all ready to leave, chemical agents were deployed near the crowd and people began coughing. I began coughing. I later learned that at other locations, again, as officers were leaving, people were sprayed directly in the face. Deploying chemical agents while officers are leaving in the area is not necessary to ensure safety. It does not clear a path. What it does is terrorize communities. And I want to be honest about what this felt like. I was angry. I'm still angry. Anger at seeing masked officers carrying out enforcement. Anger at how quickly fear is injected into a place where people are simply working and trying to live their lives and have a meal. Then these officers began to leave, and that anger turned into fear. Fear for the workers, fear of the community that came out, and fear for how easily situations like this escalate. But standing there, I also knew this. Even knowing how heavy it feels, even knowing the fear that comes with it, I would show up again. Because this is what it means to stand with our neighbors. We are not invisible. We are essential. Immigrant and working class communities are neighbors, families, and workers who sustain this country. And our dignity and safety should never be political bargaining chips. When enforcement actions kill people like Renee Nicole Good and Alex Preddy, and when others continue to die in detention, it is our duty to demand full transparency, real accountability at every level of leadership, and strong congressional oversight, especially as DHS funding decisions approach. True public safety must be rooted in human rights, civil liberties, due process, and the very basic truth that every life has value. What happened yesterday was traumatic and chaotic, and actions like these leave deep wounds in our communities, particularly in immigrant and working class neighborhoods already bearing the weight of systemic inequalities. Arizona has been here before, folks. We see what happens when fear-based enforcement is allowed to run unchecked. We've seen the power of the community to stop it. The community came together to defeat Joe Arpaio and did that by refusing to accept cruelty as a policy. And if we have to, we will do it again. Our communities know how to organize, how to show up, and how to protect one another. But we should not have to do this alone. Governor Katie Hobbs has a choice to make. She can stand up with those asking for dignity and safety and accountability, or she can remain silent while the unchecked harms continue. We are calling on her to choose leadership, to say clearly and unapologetically, ICE out of Arizona. Fear does not get the last word. Community does.
Thank you, Juliana. And we're gonna use a bullhorn for the people in the back. I did not introduce myself. My name is Raquel Teran, and I'm part of a coalition of community partners that have come together to respond to the increased ICE activity in Arizona, to respond to the needs of our community as they are getting targeted, and to respond to the need, to the call to get ICE out of Arizona. And I want to also recognize that in the audience, or in the crowd, we have giants who have fought against atrocities like the ones of the reign of Sheriff Joe Arpaio. We have Supervisor Mary Rose Wilcox, Earl Wilcox, Roberto Reveles. We're joined also by many of our state legislators, Senator Lauren Kuby. I know that Representative Janelle Carvero is here, as well as Representative Cesar Aguilar. And as I see other people, I'll give them a shout out in between speakers because I know we are missing some. But we know that our elected officials are here, and of course we have Congresswoman Yasamin Ansari, who will speak in a little bit. Our next speaker is Beth Strano, who is part of the network of the Rapid Response Team. And the most immediate action that we have is on how we respond and how we can connect with families that have been impacted by these detentions. So let's give it up to Beth.
All right, thank you everybody. My name is Beth Strano. I'm the Executive Director of Borderlands Resource Initiative. We're proud to work alongside Puente Human Rights Movement to be offering trainings and support to rapid response across the whole valley. Yesterday, the raids on multiple Zip Sports Girls locations were a direct assault on the dignity of immigrant workers and a chilling reminder of how law enforcement actions can tear right through the fabric of our community. But these raids did not make any of us safer. They made families afraid to drop their kids off at school today or to go to work today. Our trained rapid responders were on the ground in almost every single location. And what they witnessed was infuriating, but also the response was inspiring. While the fear was so real, so was the solidarity. Our community members showed up, not just the trained responders, but the organic response from the broader community, documenting, reaching out to people, comforting people that were affected. That kind of spontaneous courage is important. We encourage others to get involved. Sign up for a rapid response training. Call the hotline. We have a defense hotline to report any ICE sightings. 480-506-7437. Call that number if you see ICE, because then we tell everybody, and those folks show up. We continue to stand in solidarity with those that are impacted and reaffirm constantly our commitment to resist these policies that criminalize people for working, for surviving, and for belonging in this community. Our community is organized. Our community is watching, and we are ready to defend our neighbors. We urge our local leaders, like Kate Gallego, like Katie Hobbs, to speak out and take action to make our community safer, because all of us showing up is important. We need them to show up as well. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Alejandra Gomez, the Executive Director for Lucha, Living United for Change and Arizona Center for Empowerment. They are taking on the lane at the state legislature to fight back against the attacks that are happening at our state legislature. Alex?
Good afternoon, everyone. Oh, that's like right by my ear. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Alejandra Gomez, Executive Director of Living United for Change in Arizona, Lucha. Today we are here knowing full well the consequences of standing up and speaking out. A few days ago, Alex Preddy, a nurse, a hero, was murdered by ICE agents for using his First Amendment right. Something dangerous is happening in this country, and it's happening fast. And it happened yesterday right here in Phoenix. What we are seeing is cruelty and violence at unprecedented levels. Immigration is the excuse of the Trump administration. What we are living through is a regime using fear and force to impose its power. He has turned the forces of violence inward on his own people. His goal is not just to deport families, it is to destroy the very fabric of our democracy and crush the will of any opposition to his agenda. Across this country, immigration enforcement has become a weapon. Mass federal agent goons are sent into neighborhoods. People are being taken in broad daylight without any explanation. And U.S. citizens are not immune. Protesters are being beaten and killed. Just last night, an ICE vehicle drove by peaceful protesters and assaulted them with mace. Even worse, families and children are disappearing into camps where their cries cannot be heard. This is an authoritarian regime in real time, and it has arrived in Arizona. Immigrants were the first targets, but this is not limited to non-citizens. What this means for regular Arizonans is simple. Your freedom and your civil rights are under attack by the Trump regime. He has sent masked agents into our communities to kick down doors and white picket fences without warrants or probable cause. It does not matter if you are undocumented or a citizen. It does not matter if you are protesting or just living your life. All it takes is being in the wrong place at the wrong time. This is what happened here in Phoenix. Neighbors woke up to violence. Workers did not come home. Children went to bed without their parents. Entire communities left in shock. This is not safety. This is terror. Let's be clear. Today we say what millions of Arizonans already feel in their bones. ICE does not make us safer. Fear does not build strong communities. Authoritarianism has no home here. This is why today we say clearly, ICE out of Arizona. Governor Hobbs has stood with us against anti-immigrant bills at the legislature and stood against the violence we are seeing in Minnesota. Now that ICE has arrived in Arizona, we urge the governor to continue fighting with us. Stand with Arizona families and say it with us. ICE out of Arizona. Can we say it again? And what we do in Arizona is we get real hot. Nos ponemos bien calientes. And so what we know is that we will melt ice.
Melt ice. Ice out of Phoenix.
Ice out of Phoenix!
Ice out of Phoenix. 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 ¿Se puede? Sí se puede. ¿Se puede? Sí se puede. Ice out of Phoenix. Ice out of Phoenix. All right. Now we will hear from Congresswoman Yasamin Ansari, who we already know voted no to fund DHS, and we want to hear her give the reasons why she voted no and the work that's being done in Congress now. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being here today. Thank you to Raquel Turan and all of the organization and coalition partners who put this event together. I am Yasamin Ansari. I proudly represent Phoenix, Glendale, and Guadalupe in the U.S. House of Representatives. Our district is comprised of immigrant families from all over the world and U.S.-born American citizens of immigrant descent, far too many of whom are afraid and living in visceral fear of ICE. They are afraid because of the horrors that they have witnessed and experienced and seen all across the United States. Earlier this month, ICE murdered a U.S. citizen, Renee Nicole Good, shooting her multiple times in the face as she attempted to drive away, blocking her from medical care and letting her die. On Saturday, ICE murdered yet another American citizen, 37-year-old Alex Preddy from Minnesota. Now, the NRA is concerned. Yes, the National Rifle Association is concerned about the way that this administration is lying, is stripping us of our constitutional rights, and trying to gaslight the American public from believing what they saw with their own eyes. And just yesterday, Homeland Security conducted raids on on Zip Sports Grills across the valley. I happened upon one of those raids on my way to a meeting downtown, and I know many of you were there to witness it as well. Earlier this month, I was on the ground in Minnesota. I visited Renee Nicole Good's memorial, and I heard directly from Minneapolis community members about their fear, their trauma, and what has happened on the ground there. There are 3,500 ICE agents in Minnesota right now. That is compared to 1,000 sworn police officers in Minnesota. It is a complete invasion of Minneapolis and St. Paul designed to create chaos, designed to create violence so that Donald Trump can be the dictator that he is and invoke the Insurrection Act, which he himself has expressed desire to do so, and we cannot let that happen. We also heard from local law enforcement on the ground there, and the police chief of the local police department said very clearly that ICE operations have, quote, decimated local law enforcement's ability to keep people safe. We heard from an American citizen of Somali descent about how he was violently assaulted. He kept repeating over and over again, I'm a U.S. citizen, I have my ID, and masked ICE agents told him, we don't care. We don't care that you are a U.S. citizen. This is despicable as the daughter of immigrants who fled an authoritarian regime to come to this country for a better life and opportunity to see the ongoing authoritarian takeover of the United States of America. For over a year now, Donald Trump's ICE has been terrorizing my constituents with wrongful detainments, roundups at courthouses where immigrant families are following legal processes, and persistent fear of going to school or work. In Minnesota, ICE is going door to door. They are asking neighbors to tell on each other. They are racially profiling people based on the color of their skin and the language that they speak or the accent that they may have. ICE arrested a DACA recipient here in Phoenix on Christmas Eve while she was Christmas shopping for her families. No agency is above the law, and I have voted over and over again against any funding for ICE because what they are doing is lawless, it is disgusting, it is un-American, and we cannot support it. But the facts right now are very clear. ICE is the most well-funded law enforcement agency in the United States of America. They actually have more funding than many militaries, most militaries around the entire world. They are putting brand new recruits into the field with close to no training, offering them insane salaries and weapons, and playing to hate and fear with propaganda campaigns to drive up officer numbers. They're out on the streets fully armed. I saw them here last night with tear gas ready to terrorize people, and this is what authoritarianism looks like. Now, I want to talk about impeachment. I am an original co-sponsor on legislation to impeach Kristi Noem as the Secretary of Homeland Security. Our legislation currently has over 140 co-sponsors across ideological lines in the Democratic Party, progressive, moderate, etc. And today, Democratic House leadership announced that if Kristi Noem is not fired immediately by Donald Trump, then we will proceed with impeachment of Kristi Noem. Earlier this month, ICE agents arrested a Navajo man in Arizona, a Native American man whose ancestors lived in this place long before it ever was America, taken away roughly into an unmarked car because of the color of his skin. It's disgusting. Because of all of this, I'm introducing legislation to drain ICE of its funding of the $175 billion that they took away from your health care last year to give to ICE to terrorize individuals. I urge members of Congress to sign on to this. And I want to be very clear that we have to ramp up the pressure on Republicans as well. What is happening in this country should not matter what your political party or your political affiliation is. For the first time during this Trump administration, we have seen more and more Republicans speak out, demand independent investigations of this, and say that ICE needs to be reined in. But not one Republican member from Arizona's delegation has done that. And Andy Biggs, who's running to be our governor in this state, took to Twitter and immediately echoed the propaganda from Kristi Noem and Donald Trump about Alex Preddy. That man can never become governor of Arizona. And I urge everyone to demand more, urge our Republican members to speak out immediately. Republicans are planning to shut down the government this Friday because they want to make sure that the DHS killing spree can continue. Federal agents have broken the law. They need to be prosecuted. These paramilitary tactics have to cease and desist. And our taxpayer dollars should go to healthcare and housing and not what is happening right now with ICE and this violent paramilitary force. So we here are demanding that the Trump administration get ICE out of Minnesota, out of Arizona, and out of our communities once and for all.
Thank you, Congresswoman. ICE not a Phoenix.
ICE not a Phoenix. ICE not a Phoenix. ICE not a Phoenix. ICE not a Phoenix. ICE not a Phoenix. ICE not a Phoenix. ICE not a Phoenix. ICE not a Phoenix.
comunicación en español. Estamos aquí porque queremos que ICE salga de Arizona, queremos que ICE salga de Minnesota, queremos que ICE salga de todo nuestro país, que no tiene lugar de estar separando familias, de estar aterrorizando nuestras familias y peor aún, matando a nuestras familias. Aquí se pueden ver imágenes de personas que han muerto bajo la custodia de ICE. Son ya más de 40 personas que han muerto bajo la custodia de ICE. There are more 40 people that have died under ICE custody. It's too many. And that's only 25 in year 25, 2026. Entonces, necesitamos seguir organizando y vamos a comunicar el número para que manden cualquier actividad que vean en sus comunidades con lo que es inmigración. Si usted ve inmigración en su comunidad, marque al 480-506-7437. Otra vez al 480-506-7437. Le pedimos también a las familias que fueron impactadas o que han sido impactadas por su detención, si están intentando encontrar a su familiar, a través de ese número telefónico también les pueden ayudar con el proceso. Pero lo más importante ahorita es estar organizados, estar trabajando juntos. Y vamos a caminar hacia las oficinas de ICE para mandar el mensaje de nuevo que necesitamos que ICE salga de nuestras comunidades. We will be walking to ICE on Central. It's a short walk. It's not too long. It's probably about 15-minute walk or less. And we are demanding in our chants, in our walk, ICE out of Arizona. We have people who have yellow vests, and you want to give us directions? Bravo, la Erika! Hi, everybody.
So just some things to remember. We will be marching on the sidewalk. We don't have a permit, or we are not prepared. We just came together today. So we're doing this on the go. So please stay on the sidewalk. Follow the folks with a yellow vest in terms of their direction. Please don't engage with agitators. You don't know your neighbor next to you. You don't know if they are undocumented. You don't know if they have a disability. You don't know who they are, and your duty is to protect them and to be in solidarity with one another. So that means not engaging with people who show up to agitate us because they want us to respond. They want us to respond with violence, but we are going there letting them know that as a community, we protect each other. Can we get a commitment that we're going to protect each other in this walk? Beautiful. So we're going to follow the folks with the vest in their direction. We're going to walk to ICE. And for those of you who have parked over there, you can go from ICE or you can come back with us.
Yes. Sí se puede, vamos.
All right.
We're going to follow there's a banner in the front. We're going to follow the banner.